Ooh, I feel like I'm gonna need a drink for this one. I've been wanting to make this video for a long time because I want to talk about all the times that I feel like I've had to mask myself in the gay community, because I don't feel like I've ever truly been myself around a gay human being. Aside from you watching, I've never truly been myself with anyone. But I really wanted to focus on the gay community that says they're so accepting, because I've never felt accepted. And I kind of want to talk about all of the times that I have had to mask myself in this community. Because a lot of people like to come in here and say that I'm just making shit up about my past and that I have internalized homophobia. And that's why I supposedly don't like gays. But maybe it's just that I've had to completely hide myself from the straight community and those people that I grew up with. But then when I moved into the gay community, I felt like I still had to wear that same mask, but in a different way to appease that community now. So I just wonder if I'll ever have to stop wearing masks. And so I want to talk about all of the times where I've had to mask in this community that says they're so accepting. And so let's start with number one, the fear of being judged. Now, I feel like we can all relate to this on some level because we all don't want to be judged in certain situations. But I feel like it's kind of different when you are expecting something, where you're expecting the community that you're trying to be a part of to take you in with open arms. And then when you do go towards that community, it's the complete opposite of what you expected. And so I don't think that there's any specific story where I felt like I was being judged, because I feel like I'm judged by the gay community every single day, whether it's online or specifically in person. Because when I first started to come out, going to the gay clubs and everything and going out to the gay bars, that was kind of like my first exposure to the gay community, other than online and on Instagram and stuff like that, where that's a whole other story of acceptance and feeling unwanted. My first exposure to the general gay community is in the gay clubs, and I feel like that's a lot of people's experience. And I don't know, I just never felt like I fit in with the whole showing off my sexuality vibe. And so it was really hard for me to fit in with that crowd. And so when I would go to the clubs and I would just be in this attire that would be accepted now, because I was definitely more on the emo scene kid vibe, to the gays, that was weird. They wanted me to be this sexualized twink with no shirt and sparkles, and I was coming in with a ripped Snooki t-shirt from Jersey Shore with white contacts and eyeliner and smoking a cigarette with white ripped gloves on. They wanted me to be in angel wings and harnesses and underwear, and that just wasn't my vibe, and it never has been. And so even from the get-go, because that was probably I was probably 18 years old when I was doing these things. Jersey Shore came out when I was 17, 18 years old, and I was heavily influenced by that. But I also mixed it into my scene emo kid vibe. And so I didn't feel accepted then. They didn't pay attention to me as this weirdo. And it's funny because being a weirdo now is so in. And it's those same people are advocating for the weirdos when they were the ones that were shunning me for being a weirdo back in the day. Yes, I as I get hotter and hotter and I lose more weight, I'm going to show off my body more, but that doesn't mean I'm going to do it in some weird gay way. And so I've just never been like that. And so the fear of being judged started not in the gay community, but my first exposure to the gay community, I was immediately judged for not being exactly like them. And number two, the fear of being too much. I think in a way I've always been too much. My very existence is too much. I push people away on the regular. I make everything more dramatic than it needs to be. I create stories in my head. And so being too much is almost my nature. And so the mask that I've had to put on a lot in this community is dialing down that too much to a non-existent plane, to where when I'm with a bunch of gays, I almost act like this meek, silent version of myself that I don't even recognize. And it's like if they only knew how fiery and energetic I really was, but this fear of them not really truly accepting my too much. When they accept a bunch of other people's too much, maybe something that I need to personally work on. Like that may be something that I'm making up in my head that they're not really going to think that I'm too much. But the fear of them thinking I'm too much has made me create this mask that I have to put on to hide that and to bring that down significantly. And it's unfortunate because the people that do get to see my too much actually really like it. And I really like it. I like being too much. I don't care. I don't want to hold myself back. I don't want to be boring. I don't want to be meek. I don't want to be a prude. I want to be fucking way too much. Number 3, not being masked enough. This is something a lot of you can relate to, I'm sure. This is the debate of the gay community, is mask or not mask. Because one little thing can take you from being masked to not being masked. This one is like really difficult for me because innately I like to feel way more masked. But like I've said in other videos, I almost feel like because there was this like stigma and this ideal that I feel like I had to be, that when I came out, I immediately had to adopt this like voice and this presence of just being gay. And it's like if I just had continued to act like myself and something that wasn't created, I don't know that I would ever have this thing where people, when they first meet me, they immediately know I'm gay. And it's like, I don't know that I also care about being super masked, but I definitely do identify more with the masculine image than I do with the feminine image. It's just unfortunate that I'm 5'8" and that I am smaller and that I'm like blonde and my voice has changed because I started it so young. And so I automatically get lumped into bottom or lumped into femme or lumped into not mask, and it's unfair because I don't even know that this is like me masking for the gay community. At this point, I mask myself to be as masculine as possible in everyday life, like with straight guys, with women, with everybody. I mask myself to be more feminine when I'm doing somebody's hair. It's really weird, and it makes me just like sit here and think, like, as I'm recording this, is there a real me? Like, do I even at this point know who the real me is? Because if I'm masking for every single situation, and I went into this video thinking I was gonna make it about just masking specifically for the gay community, but now I'm like, wait a minute, like, do I mask for every single situation? And if I do, like, how can I ever say that I'm really me? Number 4, the fear of being invisible. I remember when I started dating this guy, Christian, in senior year. He didn't go to my school, but he was a guy around town that I knew of and I knew that I needed to be with. And he was a twin, and his twin was straight, but he was the gay one. And he was rich. He was of a different lifestyle than me. I never thought that I would actually be with this person, and I knew that he was at a different caliber than I could ever be. And so I always lumped him and his friends into this like unattainable group that I could never be a part of, until I went to a party one time at his mansion, and we ended up making out the entire night and becoming boyfriends. Like, that was a complete 180 that I was not expecting. And so I almost got thrust into this, like, you know, I was in high school. I was just a normal middle class dude. And it's almost like I got thrust into this like gossip girl life that I wasn't ready for. And so I felt super invisible in that group, in his group of friends. I had to mask and pretend that I somehow had more than I really had. And even though I was an only child and I was adopted, I definitely had more than most people. They were at a different level. And so I would almost have to act like I understood where they were at, and I understood the amount of money that they had and access that they had that I really didn't have. And I remember just feeling so out of place with them. And then there was like this one point where Christian threw a huge party at his mansion, and I don't know, I just felt so ignored by him and like his crew, and I felt like they were definitely like talking behind my back and conspiring against me, and I don't know where that disconnect happened. Maybe it was because I was just like not on the same wavelength as them, and they were trying to get it through to him that he was listening. And that could be another thing where I make up all of these stories in my head, and that wasn't the case at all. But there was this weird disconnect at that party, and that's when I really like realized that I was not being my true self, and that I was trying to fit in with this group that I could never really fit into. And it was a group of gays and lesbians, and that was it, because there was nobody was non-binary or any of that shit back then. So it was like that, there was none of that. But it was just like this group that I could never fit into. And I started to think like, wait a minute, is this the entire gay community? Am I just like not cut out for this? It started this early. 18 years old. I'm 34 now. It started this early to where I'm like, wait a minute, am I not fitting into this group now? Like, am I still just not fitting into anywhere? It was a weird feeling. And number 5, the need to feel desired and validated. Again, I was a very different kid in high school and that early part of my life where I was really trying to get into the gay community, and I really didn't feel desired, because while the gay community has always been focused on abs and bodies and tans and perfect bodies, I was always this like skinny, anorexic looking 2000s MySpace kid. I was pale, I was skinny, I had extensions in my hair. Like, I was just not the typical gay at the time. And so I never felt desirable. And so whenever I would be in the gay community or know that I was going to a gay event or something where there was going to be a lot of gays, I would take my extensions out. I wouldn't wear makeup. I would wear a hoodie or something instead of like a band tee. Like, I just really always tried to mold myself to like what they wanted. But then it was like, there was this part of me that was scared that like, what if I hide myself behind all of these things and these tans and everything? And then when someone gets me into the bedroom, they're going to realize that I'm just a fake and that I'm just like an emo kid. I'm a fucking pale emo kid. And so there's all these like things that I don't think people understand that we think about. Like, as a gay person, we're trying to be accepted by broader society. And so we mask ourselves to downplay who we really are to fit in with broader society. But then we also mask ourselves to fit in with the community that we're supposed to be accepted by no matter what. And then we mask ourselves to fit in with our family. And then we mask ourselves to fit in with our coworkers. And we mask ourselves to fit in with our customers that come to our job. And we mask ourselves to fit in with everything. So I don't think that it's just that we're masking ourselves to fit in with the gay community. I think that what bothers me about having to mask myself in the gay community is that I was hoping that I would finally get to take my fucking mask off and that I could just be myself and not feel like I'm being judged or that they just don't truly understand me. And it's like, I thought that by being the same sexuality that I would feel understood. And it's like, I'm beginning to realize that we all don't think the same way. And you know what? That's okay. For my entire life, I wanted everyone to accept me and for all of us to feel the exact same way about each other. And what I've realized is like, that's not a way to live. If we're all just going towards the same exact thing, we're all going to get lost. We're all individuals and we're all special. And if we continue to chase after this ideal of acceptance by everybody, it's never going to work. And maybe that's my trauma from not feeling accepted by anybody. But I really would love to like hear if anyone feels accepted by everybody. As I grow up, it's like, maybe I don't need to. Maybe I don't need this. Maybe I don't need every single person to accept me. And maybe it's okay that I've been masking myself to try to fit in every single little box that these people want to put me in. Because maybe the box isn't to keep me in. Maybe it's to make them feel comfortable. And so when they put me into a box, they feel comfortable. And so as I go on this journey of self-discovery and talking about who I am and all of my problems and everything that I've been through, it's really starting to be glaringly obvious that it's not just about how we each feel about something. Like the way that you feel puts other people into a box, but that's not necessarily a bad thing, because I feel like the only way to truly understand anything is to put something into a box so that you can test and study it and understand it. And so while I don't really want to mask anymore, and I hate that I have to pretend to be somebody that I'm not, in certain situations, I don't want to be telling people that I like to suck at a I don't want to tell people that I've had shit on my face from eating ass before. You know what I mean? Like maybe that's okay for YouTube and for you guys because you understand it, or if I'm talking with my friends, but to an extent, I'm gonna have to mask myself to be able to engage with broader society. I can't just go out into society and tell them that I hosted a gangbang at my apartment last night, which I didn't. I'm just giving an example here. Like I went into filming this video thinking I have to talk about all these horrible times that I've had to mask myself in the gay community. But then as I'm filming and I start to think about it, it's almost like I'm coming out on the other side and I'm just like, okay, but it might be actually necessary sometimes. And maybe I just don't fit into the gay community. And you know what? That's fucking okay. Because maybe the gay community that I think that I want to be a part of isn't, if they're not accepting me, why would I want to be a part of them? And so I've said in other videos that I'm creating my own gay community. And I think that that's just where my mind is now, because there's no point in beating a dead horse. And if I'm going to continue to lose myself to try and appease a community that doesn't really want to accept me, it's almost a definition of insanity. Anyway, I'll catch you in the next video.